We can start, Susan.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon all to all our Green Destinations members and also finalists to the Top 100 Sustainable and Green Destinations Awards Certification Program participants. I would like to thank the Green Destinations for inviting me to host this first panel discussion about good practices stories from the top 100 sustainable winners and our finalists as well. Right now, we have our three winners from the communities and culture. And we would like to start the conversation by, first of all, I am very, very curious myself, how did our three winners and finalists got inspired to do the Green Destination and Good Practice story? I would like to probably start with Gary and then Monique from Taiwan, and also Katarina, or is it
Carolina?
Carolina from from Azores to start the ball rolling. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Susanne. This is Kari from Finland, Fiskas Village. I must say that it's been quite a long journey, and going back to 2018, I attended a seminar in Brussels where Albert Salmond held a speech about green destinations. I had never heard about green destinations before, and I got thrilled. And since then, we've been looking into how to develop our destination and how to involve the community, and started the discussion almost immediately after that locally. And here we are right now. So I'm really thrilled and looking forward to going forward with the Green Destinations program.
Thank you very much. Carolina, I would like to ask really what made the Azores inspired to take the initiative, because we have also have some emerging destinations, and they would like to know how you got started with all this, and what made you also inspired. So likewise, they can also be inspired.
I think the first thing is that we are really proud of this good practice story, and as we are so proud of this, we needed to share and to let everyone know about what we are doing here in the Azores. It's in fact a really pioneer and innovative project, and we are so glad that we have this opportunity to share it with everyone else. And Green Destinations shares this opportunity, and so we must take it, and I'm glad that we can share it with everyone else.
Thank you very much. I would just like to ask, from which sector exactly did it come from, the initiative? From the public sector or the private sector, or just a group of people? Who exactly started all this?
This initiative comes from the public sector. It was a public initiative that started in 2017 in a public conference, an international conference called Azores towards Sustainable Tourism. And in the beginning, we started with 45 subscribing entities that were subscribed to the Sustainability Charter of the Azores, with 3 commitments related to the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And now the project is growing, and we have more than 140 subscribing entities from all sectors of our society. Yes, it was a public initiative, but we have many private entities, NGOs, and other public entities that are now subscribing entities of the Sustainability Charter of the Azores.
Well, I'm really glad to see that it is really actually led by the public sector, which is quite rare in most cases. in the case of Fiskars, actually this one was started from the private entity, correct, Kari?
Yes, that is very correct. And we have tried to involve, and I think gradually we will also succeed in involving the public sector into a larger extent. And then we've had discussions also with the city village belongs to, the city of Raasepori, because it's a coastal city and it could be very well fitted into the same program. But I guess the public sector has so many balls up in the air right now, so it takes time to convince them. And with this nomination to the finalists and also winning the first place will probably help us to involve them in a larger extent.
It's a good argument.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. In the case of Monique and colleagues, is this initiative a public or a private sector initiative? Monique, you have to unmute yourselves.
Okay, it's a public initiative.
Yeah, fantastic. So again, another model of success story wherein the local government unit has also started this. So please share with us, how exactly did you start, and also what makes your story stand out?
Actually, it was started from 2015, and Northeast government then. Yeah, the government that they joined, participate the WTTC, the Tourism for Tomorrow, and then they got the finally the destination award. Yeah, but it's not got the first place, but it was in the finalist. So it gave them like inspiration. Then the second year, after the invitation from the Green Destination, they participated in Green Destination, top 100 Green Destination. So gradually, I think it was 100 criteria. Yeah, sounds difficult, but with the top 100, we start from 15 and 30. Yes, so gradually, I think they found they can make it gradually from the Green Destination system. Yeah, so it's really a nice chance to do it.
All right. In particular, I would just like to ask each one of you, Carolina, Kari, and Monique, what makes your good practice story compelling, and how did it really stand out from the rest? Carolina?
I believe it's the fact that it's really so innovative in bringing together all sectors from our society in integrating the Sustainable Development Goals. This is a first seen project, and it is so inclusive, bringing together all these entities from different sectors, being them private sector, NGOs, and the public sector. And we do this with the help of the sustainability consulting team, of course, and we help them integrate the SDGs in their core business and in their activities in a very comprehensive and inclusive manner. So it's very personalized. At the same time, we are helping all these entities become more resilient and more sustainable in the future. This is indeed a project that we are very, very proud of. And it has a multiplier effect without measure. It is enormous, the multiplier effect. And we hope, and it would be fantastic to see this project to be replicated in other places in the world, so that we can see more and more companies and other entities integrating the SDGs and become more sustainable and integrating these commitments, and so that they can contribute to the Agenda 2030.
Fantastic. In fact, it's really a truly inspiring story for the rest of the local government units who want to preserve and conserve their natural and cultural heritage. So it's a great example, in fact, and we hope also to see that replicated in Southeast Asia. A very inspiring story indeed. Monique, can you please tell us also, how is your good practice story compelling? And also, you can also ask each other's questions on how we can also share the inspiration to the rest of the emerging destinations. And let's just keep the questions also flowing after this. Monique?
Our story is about the historical Kavalan Trail. So the trail is 100 years ago used by when there is no car, like mobility. So there were the trail networks to commute transport. Yeah, so it's over 100 years, and of course it's across the border. I mean, across the different government sectors. So it's a project that we've been run for 4 years, and through the public sector and the government and the private sector and the NGOs, then collaborate. They try to regenerate the trails, become the hiking trails for tourism today. Yeah, and also it was they use another modern technology, like skills to repair or refurbishment the trail, but they use a traditional handmade skill, by hand to make the trail more fit to the environment, environmental sustainable. Yeah, so that's why it's not an easy job, because not only the government from NEYC, but also the Taipei County and the other sectors involved, because it's a network from Taipei to Yilan, and it's a big network. Yeah, so that's why it's a challenging thing still going on, not 100% down, but so every of the sector offers their efforts in this project. Yeah.
So we can say that it's actually a multi-local government cooperation, correct? Because there are several towns involved.
Also, the NGO nonprofit organization involved in the whole system. Yeah, so they collaborate. It's not easy here. Yeah, because across sectors, it's not so easy to do it. Yeah.
But you were able to pull off at least the cooperation of several towns and cities, correct?
Yeah.
Through the efforts, of course, so with the help from the NGO. So likewise also for Carolina. Carolina, Azores is composed of how many local government units? Just one?
Yes, we have a local authority, the local regional government of the Azores.
Okay.
But of course, many municipalities in every.
How many municipalities in all?
19 municipalities. Yes, because in each island you have more than one municipality, except from Corvo Island, which is the smallest island of the archipelago with only 400 people. So every island is very different in its own way. It's very authentic too in their people and in their customs, and that's why this project is also so important, to bring together everyone from every island into the same board, on boards of in the same direction towards sustainable development.
So that's 19 local government units in several islands, in fact, correct?
19 municipalities.
19 municipalities.
19 municipalities, 9 islands.
9 islands.
Yes.
So that's in fact a very nice inspiration, especially for Southeast Asia, where a lot of islands all over. Like here in Indonesia, there's actually 17,000 islands.
Wow.
So if we start at least with 9 islands, that's a big achievement already. So with Fiskars, I would like to ask again, Kari, are there any other local governments involved as well? Only
in our
one
case,
municipality or city?
I must say that I'm lucky when I listen to Carolina's story about 19 municipalities. We are inside one municipality that is actually the city of Raseborg.
Okay.
So our situation is much more simpler than the one that Carolina described, which I'm very thankful for. So I'm really, how would I say, overwhelmed to hear what you have needed
Yes.
to go through in order to come to this stage. But as I said, we are of course also in close cooperation with the municipality, or in this case, the city of Raseborg. And also, I think regionally, even though there are no tourism organizations that would cover the whole area where we are in the southwestern part of the southern Finland, some 90 kilometers from Helsinki. So closeness to Helsinki is one of the issues that has, of course, helped us to become more known, first domestically and then later on also internationally.
All right.
But going back, yeah, sorry.
No, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, if talking about Fiskars, you cannot escape from beginning from where we come from, because the old ironworks village was established in 1649, and we had industrial operations going on in this small village up until 2001. So during 5 centuries, there were many things that had been done during the times, refining iron, refining copper, making cutlery, making plows, making all kinds of tools. And once that operation started to become too big for the village and for the premises that we had, they gradually moved out. And the situation was not that encouraging already at the end of 80s, beginning of 90s, when many of the workshops, the industrial spaces became empty. And many people also moved out to seek jobs elsewhere. So the decision was taken after careful consideration that we needed to attract people that would come and live and settle to the village. And the idea was that if we invite artisans, craftsmen, designers, and artists, they would also be able to work there, because we could offer them affordable spaces to work in, and also find them housing and things like that. And it took perhaps 3 to 5 years before the first 10, 20 moved in, and by 1994, there were 40 of them already living in the village. And when they decided to arrange their first joint exhibition, an art exhibition. And since then, that has been the driving force behind the development of Fiskars Village, an artistic community, where now just about 600 people live, and out of those, more than 120 are working within the creative professions. So it has become, first in the 90s already, kind of the mecca of design in Finland, and later on also known for its artistic exhibitions, especially in the summertime, but also other seasons. And later, of course, when other things come to the picture, when visitors start to visit the village, other forms of activities have been created to support that. So we have very strong local food culture. We have food exhibitions that arise from the neighborhood. We have a slow food movement that is very strong in the area and in the region. And then also amongst the artists, there were also a lot of musicians and artists within the performing arts field. So we have had many performing arts events that have also attracted attention later on. And as the latest kind of a theme that has attracted and is attracting more and more people are the outdoor possibilities that we are utilizing, because the village is surrounded by 10,000 hectares of forest and land and lakes and rivers, where it's great to roam with mountain bikes, do canoeing, and things like that. So it's a versatile place. And all this development could not have happened without a very continuous dialogue with the local people who are living in the village, and of course cooperating with them.
All right. So we have a very interesting question from our audience right now. And well, this is very relevant because now we are in the midst of still the COVID, the pandemic times. And I would like to ask each one of you, how's the impact of the COVID on tourism in your destination, and how each one of you is trying to overcome the challenge and are trying to prepare for the recovery and restart or rebuild tourism in your destination. Monique?
Yeah.
Would you like to start?
Yeah. Actually, in Taiwan, we don't really have a giant effect by COVID, but sure, the COVID made all the people cannot travel outside the country. So domestic tourism is booming. So every day, it's like every day. But what's the difference that we put on the mask and also do the hygiene strategy. So in every of the like when I come in, I must put on my mask and then do the hygiene work. So it's like but normally what's make a difference is like outdoor activities makes it different, because in our Northeast we have lots of biking land. So from last year, because of the domestic needs, so there are lots of people come the area to do some outdoor activities, and we put the budget in like a upgrade or like improve the facilities of the like a toilet and the pavement of the bike lane to make it better. And also they regenerate some of the older buildings to become the food service, to make a more like a local jobs. So that's what we are in NUIC area they are doing. So the pandemic, we are looking for, we are looking for more and more people to come visit maybe in the future. But the basic thing is we try to use the time to follow the green destination criteria, because we still there's something missing. So it's our project to keep on going, just keep the speed and follow the criteria.
That's good to know that in fact during the pandemic times it gave you several opportunities. First of all, it also gave you an opportunity to slow down and review everything, review all your facilities, but at the same time you were not really affected by the domestic tourism, because everybody wants to go out and do the biking and all that, and it became in fact a fad now to go outdoors and stay healthy. So in fact, I think you're one of the few destinations that benefited from the pandemic, because rather than being afraid of going to your destination, the people are even more compelled to go there to do biking, and then open space and far from each other. So I imagine that you're also doing some kind of like limited rather than mass tourism. What about in Azores, Carolina? How is it during the pandemic, and how you were able to address the challenges, and also if you were able still to enjoy the as much as visitors, or how less has it been?
Well, of course that the pandemics resulted in in a really negative impact in tourism all over the world, I believe, and the Azores are no exception in this case. But the regional government has quickly implemented the Clean and Safe initiative, which implements a set of measures to mitigate the effects of COVID-19 in the archipelago. And of course, to transmit some confidence and security to the destination and to the ones traveling here. We also have implemented a system that requires all passengers that intend to come to the Azores to present a negative COVID-19 test before coming to the Azores. And when arriving to the Azores, they must perform a second and a third test in the 6th and in the 12th day. We have also made a bet in the domestic travel. As we are 9 islands, we made a bet in the domestic travel for traveling to either islands and the same, and to the mainland as well. It was a huge impact. In fact, we were growing until in tourism until 2019, and then we see a huge breakdown in this pandemic. But we hope that it starts growing again and stabilizing in time. The regional government measures, I believe they are working. For now, we have 100 positive cases in the region. And just for you to have a framework, we are 250,000 people living in the Azores. So it's more or less controlled for now. So we must keep the good work and hope that the situation stabilizes along the time.
All right. How about Kari? How about in Fiskars Village? How is it coping with the pandemic situation? And you think that domestic tourism has helped somehow trying to recover tourism for you?
Yes, definitely. Domestic tourism has been of vital importance last year. And this is quite an interesting time we are living right now, because now for the first time we have comparable monthly statistics, because at least in Finland we consider that we didn't have any COVID impact in January, in February 2020. But this year we have the pandemic actually at its worst seen as we have seen during the whole pandemic situation. And yet I'm glad to say that the January, February figures are almost identical with last year. There's actually 1% increase in number of visitors, and that is mainly due to the domestic visitors. All in all, last year, we received some 230 visitors to the village, which has, as I need to remind you, 600 inhabitants, which is quite a lot. And last year, that figure was about the same, but it was condensed to a lesser or fewer months than normally, because last spring was still that time when people were very cautious. And then for the summertime, it all broke loose. We had an extremely busy July, June months. And now, in order to cope with the coming winter, coming summer, we have started to more and more contact with the tour operators, packaging activities that are safe, even if we had still the COVID amongst us in some form during the coming season. So outdoor activities again are part of the answer to help us go through this difficult period. Last year, our traditionally strong theme, the arts exhibition, started much later than normally. And this year we hope to be able to open them at the end of May. And then they will, of course, attract our traditional visitors. But of course, we still lack the potential of attracting international visitors. Of our daily visitors, approximately up until 2019, 35% were international visitors. Last year, it was 5%. So it will be a tough road ahead of growing that number back to the same level where it was a couple of years ago. But we are quite confident that the domestic tourism will help us over this threshold.
All right. I believe you have questions to each other. So we'll start the ball rolling. Let's say, Kari, I think you have a question to Azores, and Azores, you have a question to the Northeast Yilan Coast. So please go ahead.
Yeah, well, if I continue, which I wrote the question down, which I hope Caroline has seen already in advance, but to repeat it to all the other listeners,
Sure.
I mentioned that Azores is spread on numerous islands on the Atlantic Ocean, quite far away from the continent, and that sounds very intriguing to me. And first question is, how do you keep up the dialogue with the locals to understand their preferences when it comes to tourism development? You are 250,000 people spread on, was it 9 islands?
Nine islands,
Yeah.
indeed.
Okay.
And just for you to know, we have subscribing entities from all the 9 islands. And
Okay.
how do we do that? So the Sustainability Charter of the Azores is operated throughout all the archipelago. And to do so, we have to travel to the other islands. Just to say, I am from the biggest island of the Azores. I'm from São Miguel Island. So we had to travel with a team to the other islands, and we promote awareness raising activities, trainings, workshops, progress forums with the entities of those islands, involving the local municipalities, the local private companies in tourism and other sectors. We involve also the NGOs, and these workshops are basically we presenting what are the SDGs, what is the Agenda 2030, and why it's important for them to integrate the SDGs in their core business or in their activities. And we also share the importance of this collaboration process in reinforcing the Azores' positioning as a sustainable destination. So if we don't have everyone aboard, we can't reinforce ourselves as a sustainable destination. So this is easily comprehended by the companies. This is a voluntary project, by the way. So the companies are the ones then that want to be involved in the process, and they ask us how they can be involved in the process. And then this is much complex then, because we have meetings with each of the entities, and we check their supply chain value, and we check what are the positive and negative impacts of their activities in the SDGs, and we teach them how they can make commitments, sustainable commitments, in order to mitigate their negative impacts and potentiate the positive impact that they already have. So this is really a changing process, a transformational process for the Azores, where everyone is learning, and where we have much more and more entities coming aboard towards sustainable development.
So
Wow.
Azores really is truly a great example of a public and private partnership. And congratulations once again for that tremendous feat, because it's not easy to get together
Yes.
9 islands and 19 municipalities.
It's really a
I-
complex project, and I believe we are contributing more to the with this project. I believe we are contributing even more to the 17th SDG, which is collaboration for implementation. If I'm if I'm correct.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, and it's no mean feat indeed. What about Monique? Would you have any questions? I think you have also a question, Monique, to Fiskars and Azores. So please go ahead.
Can I follow up the question to the Azores? It's about the monitor system. So you mentioned about you work with the locals like enterprise. So do you have any monitor system or measurement system, and how do you do it?
Thank you for your question. Basically, with the pandemic, we had an interruption here in the process. So we couldn't travel to the other islands. We couldn't have the workshops with the subscribing entities. We take an advantage in this interruption, and we built the sustainability charter of the Azores online platform, which is really good because every subscribing entity has now a login to this online platform where they can put evidence there about the progress of their commitments, of their sustainable commitments. So we can now check and have a framework and a dashboard of the progress of every entity that has already subscribed to the charter, and this is going to be great for monitoring purposes, because this way we can see exactly which SDGs are being affected, how many commitments are now in progress, how many commitments have already been implemented, which companies can renew their commitments, because I didn't say this before, but the Sustainability Charter of the Azores is a project that started in 2017, and the subscribing entities can renew their commitments in a yearly basis. So every year, each entity has to define another 3 sustainable commitments to subscribe to the Sustainability Charter of the Azores. So now this is even more complex because we have more than 500 sustainable commitments associated with with all the subscribing entities, and we have to monitor the progress of every one of them. So yes, we have this monitor system implemented, but of course, as the project grows, it's even more complex and more difficult to monitor every single commitment, and to keep the networking and the collaboration, and because this is a very proximate approach to the entities, so we need to be very close to them, and it's sometimes very complex and difficult to keep this close process with
monitoring.
Yes, close.
Carolina, I just like to get the breakdown again. You have 9 islands and 19 municipalities. How many of them are the private sector? And I would like to think that they're all private sector tourism entities, like hotels, resorts. Would you have a breakdown? Tour operators, restaurants?
I don't have, I can't precise you the number of tourism and private entities, but we can check here in the sustainability online platform, because this is all a transparent process, and we have the list of every single entity that has subscribed to the Sustainability Charter of the Azores, and their commitments. And I can tell you that many of them are private companies related to the tourism sector, being them hotels, local lodges, tourism operators, and we can check that online. I can't precisely use the number right now, but then I can send you the numbers.
Yeah, that would be an interesting, because I can imagine the enormity of the task. So many, 19 municipalities, it's quite unimaginable, but that's a lot. I mean, here we are, we just want even just one city to sign up, and it's a little bit hard already. So how much more for 19 who are able to be committed and trying to do their part in their own way. That's fantastic.
I will share here the link of our website so that you can see all the subscribing entities and know more about the project. And if you want to contact me for any further information, I'm available.
Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe you can put the link on the Facebook,
yes, I will
on our Facebook
do that right away.
Yeah.
So okay, on the Facebook. Okay.
There, the video will be there also, even after the live video. I think it will be there, and it would be good to share the links of each one. Carrie, if you can also share the link about more information about your destination, and also Monique for your North Yalin Island. Sorry. And any more questions, please? Go ahead. Carolina, I think it's now your turn to ask the two.
Okay. So to Fiskars, to Kari, in your good practice story, you mentioned that the land and buildings in a typical industrial town have more than a few owners, making it difficult to create a shared strategy for development. So how did you overcome this challenge, and what support did you have from the local authorities to overcome this challenge?
In our case, the challenge actually has not been that the ownership of the buildings would have been spread to many different parties. In the contrast, the situation was that the company Fiskars that had the industrial operations in the village owned a large part of the buildings, and the problem was that when they became empty and there was no income to keep them up or continue keeping them up, so we needed to find alternative use. And of course we had very thorough discussions, and this has happened already in the late 80s with the Finnish Heritage Agency and also with the local municipalities, because at that time Fiskars village belonged to a smaller municipality than it does today, when 3 municipalities around it have been merging about 11 years ago. And actually at that time the municipality bought a couple of the buildings, kind of showing support to the village and restoring them, etc. But a small community or a small municipality did not have the resources to continue doing so. So actually after 10 years or so, the company bought back some of these premises and started gradually renovating them and renting them out and making agreements with the new settlers that we would gradually renovate the buildings and make them more usable, more attractive, and so forth. So it's been a long road, and there is not one party that would have been in a decisive situation. But as mentioned in our story, when comparing to some other ironworks villages or glass villages, especially in the Scandinavian countries, we see that thanks to the situation where majority of the ownership has been concentrated, it has been easier to kind of create how to go forward strategy without intrigues between the different parties that are owning the properties and so forth. So we have been able to take the decisions a little bit faster than if there had been tens of different owners of the buildings. And of course, later on, we have then also done some land purchases. We have done swapping of land areas with the current city of Raasepori to make the area more unitary so that we can develop it as one entity, not only as a destination. That is very important to remember. That is a living village where people work and live. So we have to be in very good harmony with them.
Thank
I don't
you.
know. Okay.
Thank you, Kari. Yes, it's truly an ongoing process.
Yes.
Carolina, you have still other question to Monique?
Yes.
Northeast Zealand Coast, please go ahead.
Yes, I'm really thrilled with your trailing with your hiking trail project. I think it's amazing, and I'm aware that you have developed an app to help along the hiking trail. So my question is, if I'm a tourist and I want to visit your destination and then do this hiking trail, are you planning to launch this app in other languages, for instance, in English?
Yeah, if we can do it, we are happy to. And I think this is a project, and then the copyright is not owned by the government. Actually, it was a cooperation project with a hiking platform, and then they create the app. Yeah, it's like a Pokemon treasure hunt. Yeah, it's a bit like a Pokemon treasure hunt. Then they create this app to implement in different areas in Taiwan. So it's a kind of innovation. So we had a project that cooperated with them for a year in our Kavalan historical trail of the story of the year. Yeah, so it's possible to do it, but it also takes the budget and to translate in English. But so far, the COVID-19, we don't have much foreign visitors. But in the future, if we can, we can have more foreign visitors. I think we will consider to cooperation. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Kari, you have a question also to Monique, Northeast and Zealand Coast.
Yes, I have. I have actually two questions. When looking at the future, how do you see the bicycle tourism growth? And does the destination still attract new cyclists? And what are you doing to make them return? Because I understand that it's quite a thrilling experience bicycling in a former railroad tunnel, but will they return for the same course, or how do you attract them to return?
Yeah, actually, we've been working on a new project to collaborate with the villages near the bike lane. And as I just mentioned earlier, because of the domestic tourism booming from last year, so there are lots of hiking trails around here and the biking lane around here. Yeah, they're full of people visiting because the people want to go outdoor more than indoor now. Yeah, so we start to put the budget to maintain the facilities around, and also to cooperate with a fishing village around the biking trail. We have a 20 kilometer around the Calling Tunnel, the biking lane. It's not only 2 kilometers, we extended to a circle of biking lane to 20 kilometers. And along the biking trail, there are more than 4 or 5 fishing villages. So now every Wednesday, Mr. Ling went to the village. We went this afternoon and to do the volunteer work with local volunteers. So generally they have some community activities, and there was only one restaurant before in one of the village. Yeah, but from last year, now there are 5 restaurants there. So gradually, I think there are some new traditional culture things. Yeah, so it takes the tourists to come back again. Yeah, because a Giant, Giant, the brand of a biking also is made in Taiwan. So I think a biking is kind of a fashion here.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
That we
to
have
our
in common.
European friends, in case you don't know, here in Southeast Asia, there is just a phenomenal growth of biking enthusiasts, especially during these pandemic times. You cannot imagine how much biking and bikers have grown overnight from all the major cities of Southeast Asia. I can speak for my friends in Singapore, my friends in Manila, and also even my family in Manila, and of course here in Jakarta, Indonesia. Everybody is just crazy about biking. So this is in fact a great opportunity for Northeast and Yilan Coast, that the biking had become the major trend, and therefore it's not going to just happen overnight, and you can retain this domestic tourism as well as later on open to international biking enthusiasts. I remember that in our also conferences, we also promote the adventures, and this biking was also already part of that before. So we have to take note for all major and emerging destinations that the biking trend is the phenomenal biking trend is here to stay and is a very good opportunity, and all over Southeast Asia especially, and for the domestic tourism for now, and starting to rebuild tourism and the right way forward with these outdoor activities that is not massive but very steady, and also help promote the local destinations. So that's also a nice idea that your restaurants have opened up. Instead of just one restaurant, now you have 5. It's incredible that in spite of the pandemic times, in fact, you have overcome the pandemic situation with this. And it's fantastic. It's simply fantastic. Very good, inspiring story indeed. Do we still have any other questions?
Yeah, to Finland. to Kari, we have some
Please
more,
go ahead.
You mentioned about that you have a sustainable operations and tourism development. There are some principles online. So we are curious about you mentioned about you communicate about your principle for the sustainable tourism to your visitors. So because of a visitor behavior is always an issue. So we are curious about how do you communicate or your strategies to guide the behavior of the tourist? Yeah, and another question is about the low season strategy. Yeah, because the low season is also an issue. Yeah, so do you have any strategy to share about the low season activities?
Thank you for the question, Monique. It's a very, very difficult question, and I'm sure that I would be a millionaire if I had all the complete answers. So let me try to tell what we have tried to do. And as you mentioned, we have launched our sustainable travel destination principles in October 2019, right after we were nominated to the top 100 green destination list. And we are at the very beginning, that we have to admit immediately. And I think the most important and most effective right now is, of course, social media. Considering that we have some 300,000 visitors on our web pages and on our social media platforms, that is by far the most cost efficient way to tell one by one, little by little, about the things we've done, the things that we expect visitors to do and respect when they visit Fiskars Village. And of course, with the continuous dialogue with our cooperation partners that are mainly the local entrepreneurs and the companies that are working and meeting with the actual visitors, that they are reminding about the things that are important. There are sometimes small symbolic things that have a great importance. For instance, last summer we introduced a central recycling point for the tourists, so that not all the things would end up in a mixed waste. And that create a lot of interest from tourists that would normally not have considered such a thing at all when they noticed, okay, we can separate the metal and the plastic and the glass and cardboard and so on in a pivotal place at the very center of the village. So these are small things and small steps. I think that we are all struggling with the fact that currently when people are avoiding public transportation, many people choose car. And you can imagine in a village with 600 people, there aren't too many parking lots. And we would appreciate if people came by public transportation, if there were any, and if they would like to use it, especially in these pandemic times. So that is one important thing that we are looking in right now. Last summer, we introduced a shuttle bus from the nearby train station 13 kilometers away that would go to the village and transport the passengers, so they would not have to take their cars. But as we all remember, last year was still a time when people didn't want to go into buses, so it was not successful. I also have to tell you about not that successful things, so we are not repeating our mistakes. I hope that the thing that we have spoken a lot already today, bicycling is one part of the solution, because at least in Finland you can bring your bike in the train, and then there's relatively short distance to come to the village, and e-biking is definitely on the rise. Susan mentioned that in Southeast Asia, cycling is popular. E-biking is extremely popular in Europe right now, and almost everybody who is respectful to themselves are already in the process of buying one. So that is increasing, and we hope that will also help people reach our village. When it comes to the slow season, as I mentioned, we have 4 extremely busy months from May to August. And what we call the slow season, starting from October, we have focused on introducing most of our events. That was, of course, prior to the pandemic, and we intend to continue doing that after the pandemic, that most of the events take place during the slow season. Because during the summer months, we receive visitors anyhow. And we have been fairly successful, I would say, because in the last 5 years, period from October until April, that is our slow season, the number of visitors has grown by 85%, whilst the summer months have grown by 25%. And that is mainly due to the fact that all the concerts, events, food fairs, bicycling events, etc., are taking place during this slow season. So we had about 75 event days in 2019. And top of that, we have the exhibition that lasts approximately 3.5-4 months in the summer season. So yes, that is very important to get to the position where regionally and even domestically we can reach to the people who are looking into activities, things to do during the slow season. It's very important to try to reach that kind of top of mind position amongst the smaller destinations. That's, in our opinion, the best way to reach people when you have an activity that is interesting to them. It doesn't have to be big. We are mostly concentrating on events that invite less than 500 people. We have a few events during the summer season that invite thousands of people, but our focus is on the small events and as many as possible during the season.
All right. Do we still have other questions pending? Monique? I think you have asked each other all the questions that you wanted to ask, correct? Carolina, and more? Please go ahead, please, Kari.
Yeah, I have one question to Carolina, and I must once again say that thank you for really comprehensive answer to the previous question. If I needed to vote on Azores, I would vote for you.
Thank you so much.
But we were into this already, that the COVID has hit the tourism, and it has hit especially the flight industry. And already prior to COVID, at least in certain countries in Europe, there were arising concerns amongst environmentally conscious people that they don't want to fly. And I would guess that it takes a couple of days to reach Azores by boat. So how do you see in the future if this trend is to continue after the pandemic, that people do not want to fly?
Well, we surely must take that in mind, and we have that in mind. And without a doubt, we are indeed very dependent on the airline companies, because as we are islands, the only way to reach the islands is either by boat or in an airplane. But we have made a bet in domestic tourism, both in inter-islands and from Portugal mainland, where the carbon footprint association is also lower, because we are 1,500 kilometers from the mainland. We also, as a sustainable destination, we also want to promote more positive styles of tourism. So tourism that so that tourists can stay for a long period of time in the island, promoting slow travel, as the visitor stays for these long periods, and they can be more integrated in the island, in the destination, with the local community, and can contribute with the positive impacts for the local community. We are also working on solutions related to the carbon offsetting, so that tourists can compensate their carbon footprint when they travel to the Azores. And I'm not talking about carbon offsetting with just payments. It's nothing like that. What we really want to do is to involve tourists in voluntary local actions, such as beach cleanups, tree plantations, and other activities with the local communities, where they can actually have a positive contribution to the local community, to the local environment, and whatsoever. And the only thing that we need to figure out is how to measure this positive impact, because the environmentally associated carbon offsetting is somehow easy to do. If you plant a tree, you can associate that with such a certain amount of carbon offsetting. But then there are social contributions that you can do with the local community, such as local activities, and there is carbon offsetting associated with that also. And that's the most difficult part to monitor and to precise the amount of carbon offsetting associated with those activities.
Right, very inspiring indeed, especially from Azores. Challenging, very challenging, but I think this is a great opportunity for us to really regroup, re-strategize in order to rebuild tourism, hopefully better, build back better also, and consolidate again the efforts of everyone in your respective destinations. I think that's about it for the time for us. Do we still have other questions from the participants? And
if time allows, I would like to ask Monique, what kind of businesses and job opportunities has the tourism brought to the northeast, the Yilan coast, and the local community?
Because we have a long coastline, is about 102 kilometers long. So there are not so many people living like together. So it's like a small villages. So most of the business is like biking, renting, shops, and lunchbox like restaurants. And as I mentioned, there are some like old buildings, so belongs to the government. So the government try to refurbish the old building, become like food cafe facilities for those biking people. Yeah, then and grocery shops, of the coffee shop, but we also transfer operate transfer to the locals to operate the shop. So in this, so comparing to like 30 years ago, it helps a lot. The economics grows a lot. So yeah, it's a challenge in order to grow the economic, but because the money comes in easily, so it's a challenge to persuade them to be more environmental friendly. Because when it's convenient here in Taiwan, we have lots of convenience shops. So how to reduce the solid waste? I think it's much more challenging than how to rise up the economic here, because already comparing to before in the other places, Fulong is this area is kind of convenient because there are lots of public transportations nearby the train and the shuttle bus. Yeah, so yeah, so our focus is maybe next step is trying to reduce the waste. Yeah, more than yeah, help the economic in local. Yeah, because not so many residents in this area. It's like a fishing area, the countryside. Yeah.
Thank you, Monique. But I think we can all agree that tourism is a good industry in the sense that it is much more likely that 50 companies create one more job per company than there would be a new company creating 50 jobs for the local community. Is that right? Would you agree? Yes.
Yes.
All right. So thank you once again to
Hey, Susan.
Monique and team. Yes, sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
Go
I
ahead.
just quickly checked here on my Excel sheet the amount of
Yes.
tourism companies that we have in the Sustainability Charter of the Azores.
Yes.
And they are about 67 now, which is almost 50% of the total amount of the subscribing entities of the Sustainability Charter of the Azores. So it is a good number.
That's a very great feat indeed. Carolina, so please don't forget that to put your links on
Yes.
on the Green Destinations Facebook page, because people still tend to visit that even if we're not live anymore. And also, Kari, if you can share also your website and the Green Destinations Facebook page. And also Monique, thank you very much. So far, I think we have all the questions asked and answered, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I would like to thank again the participation of Northeast and Highland Coast, as well as Carolina, all the way from Azores, Portugal, and Kari from Fiskars Village in Finland. It's incredible how we get together, and me here in Jakarta, Indonesia, of course, representing Southeast Asia, and how we can get together and share the very inspiring stories that you have. And it in fact also gives an idea for emerging destinations and other who would like to to be green and start the right way forward, especially for community-based tourism, which is now actually the focus for restarting and rebuilding tourism in these pandemic times. You are truly an inspiration, each and every one of you. Congratulations once again to Northeast and Yilan Coast. Monique, thank you very much for your participation. Hope to see you again. Carolina, bravo to the 9 islands and to the 19 municipalities of Azores. Carrie, all the best to your Fiskars Village and all the efforts in the recovery for tourism, and especially for you as a replicable model for Europe. Congratulations once again. Thank you very much to all the participants in today's session, especially also our participants through the Facebook page. Thank you very much, and see you once again in the next conversations in the top 100 sustainable destinations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Monique. Bye-bye.
Bye.